On a moonless night, when the sky felt like a black cloth with no seams, a man walked alone along a narrow path between tall trees. The wind was cold, the kind that slips into your clothes and makes you feel small, each step crunched over dry leaves, and the silence wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that makes you hear your own heartbeat. And before you think this is just an old story, let me tell you something. This night looks a lot like many nights you've lived too. Because how many times have you felt like you were walking through the darkness of life with only one light in your hand? One hope, one plan, one prayer saying, Ya Allah, please let this work. Listen carefully. Sometimes Allah doesn't take away your light to punish you. Sometimes Allah blows out your candle, because that light was attracting a danger you could not see. And today, you're going to understand this in a way you may never forget. Keep watching, because when you listen to Allah, He replaces emptiness with peace your heart has been searching for. The traveller pulled his coat tighter and took out a small candle. It wasn't big. It wasn't new. The wax was already worn down. But it was enough. He lit the wick with trembling hands, and a soft flame was born like a quiet breath. Relief washed over his face, as if that light were a promise. I'm not lost. I can see. I can move forward. The candle lit only what was necessary. A stone here, a root there, the edge of the path. Nothing more. But for him, that was everything. He walked for several minutes, and with every step he told himself, I just need to endure a little longer. I just need to keep going. With this candle, I'll make it. Then the wind changed. At first it was a breeze, then a stronger gust. Branches began to sway as if something unseen were moving them on purpose. Instinctively, the traveller raised the candle and tried to shield it with his palm, like someone protecting something sacred. But the wind doesn't negotiate. A sudden blast hit the flame, and in an instant the candle died. Total darkness. Not dim light, not I can barely see. Total darkness. As if someone had covered his eyes. The man froze, and then came real fear. Not movie fear, not exaggeration. The quiet fear that whispers, now you're truly alone. Now something can happen. His breathing grew heavy. He tried to relight the candle, but his hands were shaking. He pulled out a flint, struck it again and again, but the wind stole every spark. The flame wouldn't stay alive, or it lived for a second, and vanished. And in that moment, without realizing it, he began to speak the way we all do when something breaks inside us. Why now? Why me? I was moving forward. I was doing the right thing. I was trying. Why does it go out right when I need it most? He felt betrayed by the night, by the wind, by the road. And if you think about it, that's exactly how we feel when the candle in our life goes out. When a plan you worked on for months collapses. When someone lets go of your hand. When news arrives that you never expected. When a door closes just as you thought, this is the sign. The traveller looked around. Nothing. Only shadows and the sound of wind. He took a step. His foot hit a stone. He stumbled, almost fell. He dropped to his knees in anger and despair. And there in the darkness he said something unscripted but full of truth. Allah, if you see me, guide me. I don't understand, but guide me. And right after that supplication, something happened. A sound, not the wind, a slow, heavy crunch, like something walking through damp leaves. At first it was far away, then closer. The traveller stood perfectly still, as if his body understood before his mind did. Don't move. Another crunch, and another. And then a sound that made his blood run cold. A low growl. Not loud, not aggressive yet, but real, alive, close. He swallowed hard and pressed his back against a tree. By instinct, by desperation, he wanted to light the candle again. He thought, if I have light, I can see what it is. I can run. I can defend myself. But something in his heart stopped him. as if an inner voice whispered, "If you light that candle, they will see you." And then he realized something terrifying. The darkness wasn't only confusing him, it was hiding him. He stayed still, so still that he could hear his own pulse. The sound came closer. His eyes tried to adjust, but there was nothing to see, only movement, shapes, intuition. And then he saw them. Not their bodies, not clearly, but their eyes. Two glowing points in the distance like small embers. Then another pair to the left, then more. It wasn't one, it was several. The air left his lungs. Allah, Allah, he whispered, repeating the name like someone clinging to an invisible lifeline. His hands clenched the unlit candle as if it were a talisman, even though he knew it wasn't. And at that moment his mind began to argue with itself. Light it! Light it! No, if you light it, they'll find you. But if you don't light it, you can't see anything. But if you light it, they see you. That kind of decision only exists on the edge. The animals, wolves or jackals or forest beasts, circled the path. They didn't rush. They didn't attack immediately. They sniffed. They searched. And because the candle was no longer lit, they had no clear target. Because light, while it guides, also exposes. And that night, the candle didn't just show the path. The candle screamed, "I'm here!" The traveller pressed harder against the tree. A branch brushed his shoulder, and for a second he thought it was a claw. He swallowed a scream. Tears filled his eyes, not from drama, but from pure human instinct. And in that moment, the most vulnerable moment, his heart did what pride often doesn't allow. It surrendered. Not surrender as in, I give up. Surrender as in, I give myself to Allah. He said inside, I have no control left. I have no light. I have no plan. I only have you. And something incredible happened. Instead of getting worse, the night grew quieter. The growls moved farther away. The crunching shifted elsewhere, as if the animals had lost interest, as if they were following something else. The traveller didn't know it yet, but in that forest there was a truth. The beasts were drawn to light, to movement, to brightness. The candle was a signal. The candle was an invitation. And the wind had turned off the invitation. The sounds faded until all that remained was his breathing and the wind, just wind again. They didn't attack. They didn't find him. They didn't see him. There, in complete darkness, the man stayed still for a long time. Not because he was brave, but because he understood that the darkness had become his shield. Time passed. How long, he didn't know. In darkness, a minute can feel like an hour. Then the cold changed, the air softened. The sky slowly began to lighten as if the night itself was growing tired. With the first grey light of dawn, the traveller could see. The first thing he saw was the candle unlit in his hand. The second thing he saw was the ground in front of him. Footprints, large footprints, many of them, marks all around where he had been standing. Very close. So close that his throat tightened again. And then he understood. If the candle had been lit, those footprints wouldn't have been near him. They would have been on him. He stared at the ground as if he were reading a letter Allah had written without words. And softly, with a tremble that was no longer fear but awe, he whispered, Subhanallah. He stood up slowly and looked around. A few steps away, he noticed something else. Small bones scattered on the ground, like a hunting area. And he understood that the place where he had stood would have turned light into a death sentence. Suddenly his anger about the extinguished candle felt childish, like a child crying because candy was taken away, not knowing it was poisoned. And here comes the lesson, not as a pretty phrase, but as a truth that can change you inside. Sometimes you beg Allah to keep your candle lit, but Allah, in His wisdom, blows it out and you interpret it as abandonment, as punishment, as he didn't listen to me. But in reality, it was protection, hidden mercy. Because you only see what the candle illuminates. Allah sees what the candle attracts. You only see the closed door, and Allah sees the disaster it saved you from. You only see the delay. Allah sees the perfect timing. This doesn't mean life won't hurt. Of course it hurts. The traveller felt fear. He felt despair. Islam doesn't ask you to be made of stone, it asks you to be sincere. But Islam teaches something powerful. When you don't understand the plan, trust the planner. Tawakkul is not doing nothing. He walked, he tried, he struggled to relight the candle, he did his part. But when his part ended, he trusted. And that's where many of us struggle. We accept effort, but we resist surrender. So let me speak to you directly. Maybe your candle went out in the form of a dream that didn't happen. Maybe it went out as a relationship that ended. Maybe it went out as anxiety, uncertainty, or I don't know what to do with my life. If you're in that place, hold on to this image. In the darkest night, the man was not being abandoned. He was being covered. There is a teaching in the Quran many of us remember when pain hits. You may dislike something while it is good for you, and you may love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. When that truth moves from the mind to the heart, it changes how you suffer. You no longer suffer believing everything is chaos. You suffer knowing this has meaning even if I can't see it yet. When morning fully came, the traveller continued walking. He could now see without the candle. And the most beautiful part, he no longer resented it. He kept it with respect, like something that taught him a lesson. As he walked, his heart repeated something you may need to repeat today. Ya Allah, if this went out, it's because you turned it off. And if you turned it off, there is a good I cannot yet see. Grant me patience, grant me clarity, grant me faith, because that is tawakkul. Not understanding everything, but trusting even when you don't. Before we end, leave with this question. What if what you called a loss was Allah saving you? What if that opportunity that never came was a candle attracting danger? What if the darkness you're living in right now is Allah hiding you from something that would have broken you? No. If you're walking through a night like this, I won't tell you don't feel. I'll tell you talk to Allah. Ask Him for guidance. Ask Him for strength. Ask Him for peace. And remember this promise, when you listen to Allah, He replaces emptiness with a peace your heart has been searching for. Keep watching, because when you listen to Allah, He replaces emptiness with peace your heart has been searching for. Ya Allah, light within us a guidance no one can extinguish. And when you take something away from our lives, let us understand it as mercy, not punishment. Make us among those who trust you, who are patient, and who return to you. Ameen. If this parable touched something inside you, share it with someone walking through their own night. Sometimes a story becomes the candle someone truly needs, and sometimes it becomes the calm they were waiting for.